Hi, I'm Dylan, and I'm the co-lead designer for this games production assignment. We were tasked with creating a 4-player competitive party game that included a full game loop. This game required controller input, and we all had to attend 3 different in-person presentations. As one of the designers, I decided to create the 3 PowerPoints, and did the majority of talking, with each member also talking in their respective slides, such as Darren for the coding slides. I also created the concept for our game. In our game called Rolling Rodents, 4 players play as 4 of 6 pets, each in little hamster balls, and try to bounce each other into kill zones. The players then respawn and repeat that until the round ends. The player who pushed the most pets into holes within the time limit wins, similar to Last Man Standing game modes. I included MDA theory into this by having a mechanic of bouncing players that leads to the dynamic of how often players will attempt to bounce others depending on the stage chosen and their position. This led to the aesthetics being cutesy, 2D and family friendly, since our game is designed with families as the target audience, because party games usually are simple pick up and play games. This is why there aren't many button inputs in the game. We also added an animal noise button to locally irritate other players in rounds, allowing new strategies to win. I requested multiple stages and settings to be created to further add to the customization and accessibility of our game. I was also tasked with audio, which I gathered using YouTube and Freesound. All of the audio was royalty free or created using my own voice, which I edited in Audition. Holly is our lead artist for this project. She created almost all of the art for this game, besides a couple UI elements and fonts which Dylan included. She created the final logo for Rolling Rodents and used a 60s colour palette throughout all of her art. The backgrounds were created after the main stage was complete, using the pet cage as the focal point of the menu backgrounds. Each pet was sketched and coloured using layering after we decided which animals we would include. When designing new stages to add replayability, Dylan wanted one stage with one huge hole in the centre and surrounded by leaves, which Holly then created based off of the original stage. Holly also directed James on how she wanted the final animations to appear, as if they were too complex the players would be distracted. She also made each UI border the same colour as the pet balls, so each player could associate their ball colour with their characters. She also created human characters with facial expressions to add some personality to the UI of our game. Almost all of our scripts and code were programmed by our lead programmer Darren for this assignment. Darren's main goal was to create a player controller script that included audio support and a weight system that changed the statistics of each character in the game, since each pet has their own weight. This weight would then affect how much pushback and bounce each player would receive depending on the pet they chose. An example would be the raccoon being heavy so it doesn't bounce as much as the other players. Darren had to learn the new Unity input system to get the player physics and controllers working as intended, which Dylan would then test for any glitches such as breaking through the box colliders, which were then fixed soon by Darren. Darren also programmed the buttons to lead to each separate scene, which also needed to function with a gamepad controller. After this was achieved, the final step was to include a timer script in the main gameplay scene. After the timer ran out, the game would switch scenes to a win state, with the text changing depending on which player won. Players would then press a button to loop back to the main menu, where they could play again, change settings such as the volume slider, or look at the help and how to play menu. After receiving feedback from peers, they suggested a dash mechanic. This would involve the player pressing a button to briefly gain a boost of speed across the stage to make the game more competitive. Darren quickly coded this in using a velocity increase of line of code when a certain button is pressed. Peers thought the movement was a bit floaty, and Darren fixed this by having each beginning frame of movement have a velocity value of 0. James is the other co-lead designer and producer for this game's production assignment, and the man who helped expand Dylan's concept. The game currently features a full game loop, multiple playable characters and stages, and a how to play menu for people who are confused on what to do in the game. James created a hack and plan page for us to edit whenever we completed one of our weekly tasks, such as in my case having background music on every stage. James also created the animations and sprite sheets for the pets, which looped and used Unity's built-in animator system along with the bugs. The whole game was created in Unity with art created in Photoshop and code built in Visual Studio. James also arranged weekly meetups or video calls and insect looping animations. He also created the sketches of the layout of the main stage, and the final version was created by Holly based off of his designs. James also made the first prototype of the game for the second presentation, and thank you for watching.